I created my very first dress on a sewing machine. So since you know it's spooky season, I decided that I wanted to do another hair and makeup look inspired by another video game because, like I mentioned in the first video, I play PS4. And my favorite game of all time is actually Mortal Kombat. So I did some research and I looked up, I think it was the top 10 female characters or something in Mortal Kombat. And so I was looking at the characters and checking out their outfits to see which one I could throw together real quick, either by going out and purchasing something or we'll use what I have in the closet. But then my sewing machine came early and I was like, well, it's time to make something. So the first Jade outfit that I saw was a green bodysuit and it had a high collar, similar to something like this. And I said, oh, that's easy. I can just go get that from Forever 21 or something. Then I realized that I had this idea at like midnight 30 and everything was closed. And I only had 2 weeks to pull this off. So I did another search on just all of Jade's previous outfits, I guess you could call it the evolution of Jade. And I tied together some of the elements. So if you notice the top part here with the crisscrosses, that was inspired by the bodysuit that has the crisscrosses coming all the way down. The shoulders, the hood, and the middle piece here was inspired by Mortal Kombat 11. I thought it was a little too intricate to make the Mortal Kombat 11 mask, and I wanted the mask to be a little bit more original, so I just chose to do a solid gold mask. Since there's a whole bunch of how to make mask videos out there, I just followed one of those tutorials on YouTube. The staff actually is made from a very long piece of cardboard that I sewed a long tube of green together and just slid it on top of the cardboard. But the dress, I'd like to go into that a little bit more. First and foremost, I looked in my closet to see if I had a green dress, and I did, but it wasn't similar to what Jade usually wears. According to Wiki Fandom, or whatever that website's called, Mortal Kombat 11 edition, Jade usually wears like a skin-tight suit dress as her attire, and she has long boots and I guess gloves, long or short, optional, just depends on which evolution or which game you're referencing. I went over to the 99-cent store and I saw this really cool green dress, but then I said, you know what, it's a little too green. It's like neon, and Jade doesn't really wear neon green. It's more of like a, how do you say, what is it called? Hunter green? Yeah, maybe like a hunter green. And so then I went to sleep. I slept on it, you know, just forget about it. I'll think about it later. Woke up the next day, this sewing machine comes out of nowhere and I'm like, man, let's go. We're gonna go to Walmart and get some fabric. We're gonna make a dress. So I went to Walmart and picked out black, green, and gold, not realizing that Jade's dress is actually 2 different shades of green, a dark green and a lighter green. But the picture that I referenced, it actually looked black, green, and gold to me, so I decided to go with that one. So like any experienced seamstress, which I'm not, I decided to draft up 2 drawings of how I wanted this dress to look. I picked up my extra large first timers drafting sketch pad and created this. This was my original idea for the dress, actually. I was going to do a square neckline, include the crisscross lace at the top, and add the gold shoulder pieces. I thought about it, and I didn't really think that a square neckline would lace very well. So, of course, I went with the inverted triangle shape to make the laces crosses a little better. I sketched out my vision, so I had a reference point. Then it was time to make the pattern. And when I tell you, I looked up 1,000 videos on how to make your own pattern. I decided to scrap that idea of making my own pattern, and I purchased a pattern instead. I traced my pattern onto this blue sheet of construction paper. So I needed help making this part here, the bodice. I attached some more construction paper to the bottom of this to make it longer so it would fit me. And this was the front piece that I used to draft up the pattern. Then I transferred this cardboard to a thinner piece of paper so I could use that to pin the fabric to. The reason why I didn't cut my first pattern is because I wanted to save it and keep it for a different project. I unfortunately purchased my fabric first before buying the pattern because I thought I was going to make my own pattern. And the pattern I purchased called for a stretchy material, and this was not. This was actually polycotton, and it was 2 yards. I purchased 6 yards of fabric to make this dress, although the pattern called for only 2 yards. And I'm a beginner at sewing, so I made do with what I had by attaching the hood and making the staff. So after I had cut my fabric out, I started stitching this bad boy up on the sewing machine, and I did it in parts. I thought the easiest way and the quickest way to get this out there was to first attach this black part to the front, so it's its own separate piece. Or I guess I'll show you. So that's all just one separate piece here. First I put the gold onto the black, and then I put the black onto the dress. Before putting the front and back pieces together, I made sure to stitch on these awesome gold trimmings that I created by hand. I didn't use any bias tape. I just made these from the spandex material that I had that was gold. I made sure every detail on the front of the bodice was attached to the dress before I put the front and back pieces together. Then after the front and back pieces were constructed, I made the hood. And so I was going to also put a drawstring inside of the hood. Then I scratched that idea because I didn't have any eyelets. I made the sleeves and then I attached those last. Alright, so I attached the sleeves and they didn't fit. So the shoulder part here fit fine. It was great, all snug like a bug in a rug, but then when I tried to pull my arm through, this bottom part right here, it was too tight. Well, I've already erased it with the seam ripper, right? And so now I'm going to add a little bit of gold, not this one per se, but it stretches and it matches with the rest of the aesthetic here. So we're going to add some gold horizontally, of course, into this little flap here. I extended the armpit holes on the dress as well. I thought I was going to have trouble putting this dress on at my hips area, like, you know, pulling it down. But then I realized it was actually the waist here. I wanted this to just be a pullover dress. Like I mentioned, the pattern that I purchased, it called for like a spandex material, stretchy material, so you could just pull it on over yourself and then it would just conform to your body, and I don't have that material. Didn't even think about going to get a zipper because, you know, this is my first project. I wasn't about to spend time figuring out how to sew on a zipper, and I put this hood on and just too mind-blowing to figure that out. But I did what I could. So the things that I've learned from this sewing project. Well, 1, buy the pattern first, then buy your fabric. Hands down. This dress probably would have fit me better in the shoulder areas and up here at the top of my waist if I would have read the back and not purchased the wrong fabric. 2, I think I like to sew now. Like I mentioned, this is my first project. I didn't take any classes because, you know, of our current situation, but YouTube really helped me out on that. And the fact that I have a family history of seamstresses. Who knew? I learned that some of you might be coming in the comments for me. I am a beginner seamstress after all, and this might be the most cringiest video that you've ever seen. Don't come for me. I really enjoyed making this dress and being able to style my natural hair as Jade's hair in the video game. If you want to see more sewing projects like this, no, don't say you do. I don't know if I'm ready for that. With that being said, thanks for stopping by to watch the behind the scenes of last week's video. I post every Thursday, and if you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share it with a friend. I'm Lydia Ashley, and I'll see you in the next one. That's all.